Hey ladies, what if I told you that chasing him is exactly what's pushing him further away? And that the real way to bring him back is to stop trying? Sounds crazy, right? But here's the truth. There is a strategy, a calm, confident, no drama path, to make him want to come back on his own. This isn't about manipulation. It's about reclaiming your power. So let me walk you through 7 steps to make him reconsider everything, and maybe even crawl back to you himself. Let's start with what not to do. When a man leaves, the first instinct many women have is panic. You send him messages, dozens of them. You ask, why? Why are you doing this? You try to meet up, plead, even beg. You become a digital detective, watching his socials, waiting near his work, creating coincidental encounters. You feel like you're spiraling, right? But even if you're not physically chasing him, the emotional pressure you're putting on him is real, and just as intense. You're texting, calling, reaching out. All your inner instincts scream, bring him back. And yet, following your heart in moments like this can backfire in a big way. We're constantly told to listen to your heart, trust your gut, follow your feelings. But when a man pulls away, those instincts, as raw and real as they feel, can push him even farther. So instead, here's what actually works. Step 1. Stop chasing. Give up the idea of following him, emotionally, physically, or even digitally. It's one of the hardest things to do when your heart is breaking, but it's the most critical first move. Right now, your instincts are screaming at you to fix things, to close the gap, to reach out in every way possible. But what feels urgent to your emotions only fuels distance in reality. Every text, every accidental run-in, every late-night social media stalk says one thing loud and clear: you're still chasing. And the truth? No one wants to be pursued by desperation. The more you try to insert yourself into his world, the more he pulls back. To him, your love looks like pressure. And pressure doesn't rebuild connection, it destroys the space where it might grow. Chasing, even in subtle forms, shifts the power dynamic in the worst way possible. You become the one doing all the emotional labor while he becomes the prize, and that's not a relationship, that's a pursuit. Think of it this way: the more you chase, the more he sees you through a filter of lack, like someone who can't stand on her own. And that image will never trigger desire, only guilt, annoyance, or worse, indifference. This is not about playing games or being manipulative, it's about reclaiming your dignity. Emotional overexposure makes it too easy for him to forget what made you special in the first place. Real impact comes from silence. True power begins when you step back and let the absence do the talking. Let him feel your non-presence. Let him sit with the quiet. Sometimes, silence is the only language that hits deeper than words. When you stop chasing, you don't just stop calling, you stop bleeding energy into someone who isn't ready to receive it. And when that energy returns to you, that's when the healing, and the magic, begins. Step 2. Disappear, for about a month. I'm not talking about playing hard to get or trying to manipulate him with silence. I'm talking about a complete emotional detox, for you. You must vanish. That means no texts, no DMs, no watching his stories, no tagging him in funny little memories, and absolutely no accidental encounters. Don't show up where he goes. Don't ask mutual friends how he's doing. You're not trying to stir his curiosity, you're reclaiming your peace. This time isn't about making him miss you, it's about learning what you feel without the noise of chasing validation. Disappearing gives him what he thinks he wanted: space. And that's the most powerful thing you can offer, not because it gives him freedom, but because it finally allows him to feel your absence. Without your energy constantly showing up to soothe, entertain, or remind him of your existence, something shifts. You become a void, not a presence that's easy to ignore, but a silence he can't help but notice. Why? Because breakups, even when they're his idea, aren't clean slates. They're ruptures, emotional earthquakes. A man might walk away thinking it's for the best, but once the dust settles, the quiet gets loud. He starts asking himself questions one's only silence can provoke. And here's where male psychology kicks in. Men are territorial. Once they've emotionally, physically, or even romantically invested in someone, that space is marked. Even if they leave, they still circle back. They check. They wonder if someone else has claimed what they stepped away from. They may not express this directly, but trust me, the curiosity builds. Why? Because in his mind, you were never just a person. You were an investment of time, of effort, of emotional labor, and now that investment is gone. Off the radar. And that absence creates discomfort. The same man who once said he needed space starts wondering, what if I made the wrong call? Let him wonder. Let him sit in that. Let him taste life without your laughter, without your warmth, without the comfort of knowing you're just a message away. That's when the real questions hit him. Am I really happier without her? Did I give up something that was actually good for me? But, and this is critical, if he does reach out during this silent phase, don't drop everything to run to him. This is not the moment to open the floodgates with, OMG, I've missed you so much, I'm so glad you texted. That would only hand him the power again. Because here's the truth, just because he misses you doesn't mean he's ready for you. There's a massive difference between missing your presence and being prepared to rebuild the relationship with maturity and respect. So, if he reaches out, stay calm, stay centered. You don't have to ignore him completely. This isn't about punishment. It's about preserving your value. You can acknowledge his message with kindness, even appreciation, but also protect your space. A simple, hey, I'm taking some time for myself right now. Hope you're well, is enough. No over-explaining. No apologizing for doing what's right for your heart. No timelines or expectations. Just boundaries, strong, quiet boundaries that say, I am not here to fill your emotional gap on demand. And that, right there, is when the shift begins, not in him, but in you. Step 3. Prepare yourself for his return, without waiting for it. This is not the time to spiral. You are not the heartbroken girl clutching a bottle of wine, rehashing every detail to your best friend on repeat, or scrolling through old photos until you feel numb. That version of you? She's already been through enough. Now is the moment to reclaim your life, not by erasing the past, but by recentering the future around you. Don't wait around for a text. Don't press pause on your days while imagining reunion scenarios in your head. That kind of emotional limbo is exhausting. Instead, redirect every ounce of your energy into the one person you still have full access to, yourself. Refocus your attention like your life depends on it, because emotionally, it kind of does. Your nervous system needs new input, fresh signals, and that starts when you make deliberate choices to invest in yourself. Start something that challenges you. Get physically active, go boxing, run, lift, dance, hike. Push your body and watch how your mind starts to follow. Take up something creative, pottery, painting, writing, something messy and yours. Learn a language, take that class, start the blog, volunteer. Every new skill you build becomes a layer of self-worth that's no longer attached to his approval. These distractions aren't just hobbies, they're anchors. They stabilize your thoughts, calm your emotional chaos, and remind you that your life has its own rhythm, its own story, and it's not on hold for anyone. Pamper your spirit. Spoil your curiosity. Travel, even if it's just to a nearby town or a part of your city you've never explored. Visit museums. Try new food. Sit at concerts alone and soak in the sound. Meditate in your bedroom with a candle lit, or dance barefoot in the kitchen just because the music feels right. You're not doing this to flaunt your glow up for Instagram or stir jealousy. You're doing it to remember what it feels like to be alive for your own damn self. And yes, maybe you'll flirt. Maybe you'll go on a few lighthearted dates. Not to prove you've moved on, but to gently remind yourself that your heart still knows how to flutter, and not just for him. That joy, that curiosity, that openness, that's what makes you quietly magnetic. People feel it, especially the ones who once took it for granted. Here's the real talk. If you don't evolve, nothing else will. If he comes back and finds the exact same emotional environment he left, the same patterns, the same insecurities, the same stagnant energy, he'll bolt. Not out of cruelty, but because no one wants to re-enter a story that already had a bad ending. He has to see that the woman he left has become a version of herself that's brighter, deeper, more centered, someone he doesn't fully recognize but is suddenly intrigued by again. So before you try to restore the relationship, restore your identity. Begin with your physical presence. Not to impress him, not for his validation, but to look in the mirror and finally say, there she is. Get a haircut that makes you feel fierce. Revamp your wardrobe, not for trends, but for confidence. Start moving like someone who is completely comfortable in her own body again. When you carry yourself differently, people respond differently. You're not just rebuilding, you're becoming. And if he does return, he won't be meeting the woman he left. He'll be meeting the woman who rose. Step 4. Polish your outer glow. Men are visual, full stop. It's not superficial, it's evolutionary. They notice with their eyes before they feel with their hearts. So if you want to reset the dynamic, start where he's most likely to notice first, your appearance. This doesn't mean a total overhaul or turning yourself into someone you're not. It means elevating what's already there. Get a fresh cut or style that makes you do a double take in the mirror. Refresh your wardrobe, not necessarily expensive, but intentional. Pieces that make you feel sharp, feminine, magnetic. Invest in your skin, your scent, your posture. This isn't about vanity, it's about energy. And energy changes when the woman looking back at you looks alive again. These outer adjustments aren't just for the world to see, they're for you. There's something powerful that happens when you start showing up for yourself physically. It's not about looking perfect, it's about looking like you've come back to yourself. You walk differently, you make eye contact more boldly. You carry an unspoken message that says, I'm not waiting, I'm living. And that message? It's magnetic. Your ex might see it on social media, or bump into you at a mutual event, or hear about it from a friend, but however he learns of this change, he will notice. Not because of the heels or the haircut, but because you now exude a self-possessed presence that can't be faked. You've done the work. You're not faking confidence. You are confident. Let him be caught off guard, in the best way. Let him see you and feel that subtle sting of regret. Not because you're trying to provoke him, but because you've evolved so effortlessly, so gracefully, that he suddenly realizes you've become someone he doesn't fully know anymore. And that creates curiosity. That plants the seed. You're not the girl he left, you're the woman who turned the page. Let your transformation make him wonder, what else has changed? Because when your outer glow reflects the inner strength you've been building, it's undeniable. You're not trying to get attention, you are attention. You're not the same woman trying to prove your worth. You're the woman who's already proven it, to herself. And just when you've owned this energy fully, something strange starts to happen. He gets pulled in without knowing why. He might reach out. He might linger longer in conversation. He might replay moments in his head that he didn't appreciate before. That's not your cue to jump, it's your cue to observe. Because now he's doing the work of re-engagement, and you are the one deciding whether he still fits the woman you've become. That's the quiet power of a polished glow. It doesn't chase. It draws in. Step 5. Ask yourself, do you even want him back? Pause. Before you send that message. Before you plan that casual coffee meetup. Before you start imagining your reunion like the final scene of a romantic drama. Ask yourself the question no one ever seems to ask when trying to win someone back. Do I still want him, truly? Not the fantasy version of him. Not the filtered memories. The real man, with his real flaws and the real problems that once made you cry in the shower or question your worth. This step is about reality, not longing. Because just as you've been growing, changing, and healing, so should your standards. If they haven't evolved, you're not moving forward, you're just going in circles. Clarity is a gift that often comes wrapped in silence. And if you followed the earlier steps, stepped back, focused inward, rediscovered your glow, then something inside you has likely shifted. Now it's time to get brutally honest. What was the actual reason for your breakup? Was it a misunderstanding, or a fundamental mismatch in values? Are you remembering how he made you laugh, but forgetting how he made you doubt yourself? Do you miss him, or just the role he played in your life? These aren't easy questions, but they're essential. Because if you're craving his presence out of fear, fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of never being loved again, then it's not love you're reaching for. It's safety, and that's a dangerous illusion. Dig deeper. What would going back really look like if nothing changed? Could you accept the same dynamic? The same issues swept under the rug? Could you handle the same communication gaps, emotional immaturity, or lack of effort that led you here in the first place? If any part of you whispers, no, then please, listen. Love should not require erasing yourself. And sometimes the greatest act of love is not reclaiming the past, but refusing to repeat it. Relationships don't get better by wishing, they get better by two people choosing growth, accountability, and shared vision. If he's not meeting you at that level, it's not a lost love story, it's a closed chapter. And you're the one holding the pen now. So if, after all this reflection, you realize that you're better without him, honor that. Let the space you created stay empty long enough for something better to find you. And if he ever does come back, hoping for another chance, let him meet a woman who no longer defines her value by his attention. A woman who doesn't need closure, because she gave it to herself. That's not cold, that's power. Because here's the real twist. When you stop chasing him and start chasing your own peace, you become unforgettable. Not because you begged to be chosen, but because you chose yourself first. Step 6. Reach out to him, but only if you're truly ready. This is not a move for the impulsive. It's not for the woman who's still waking up in tears, obsessively checking her phone, or hoping a single message will fix everything. This step is for the woman who's done the work, the woman who has cried her tears, rebuilt her self-worth, and is no longer holding her breath waiting for him to come back. You reach out not because you're desperate, but because you've detached enough to handle silence as easily as a response. That's the level of emotional independence required here. If you're still in pieces, don't reach out. Because this step only works when you are whole, when you're reaching out from clarity, not from chaos. Now, assuming you're truly ready, let's talk about the how. First rule: bury the generic openers. You are not sending a "Hey stranger" text. You are not starting with "I miss you" or "Just thinking about you." That's emotional bait, and he'll feel it. The goal isn't to spark drama or stir guilt, it's to plant a seed. A subtle reminder that you still exist, not as his ex, but as a woman who's thriving, grounded, and, here's the kicker, totally at peace. That alone will intrigue him. So your message? It needs to be specific, intelligent, and rooted in shared experience. Think of it as emotional judo. You're using a past connection to redirect attention, not to control an outcome. Examples? Let's elevate them. Instead of saying, "I've missed you," say, "I finally got around to that novel you kept raving about." You weren't kidding, it's a masterpiece. See the difference? Or maybe, "Caught a movie last night and one of the scenes totally reminded me of that insane road trip we took. Couldn't help but laugh." Light, genuine, free of expectations. Even a logistical text can carry emotional undertones without being obvious. Quick question: what was the name of that beachside hotel we stayed at? Thinking of planning a trip and remembered how perfect that place was. You're not pushing, you're inviting curiosity. That's it. And here's the most critical part. Let the message breathe. Don't double text. Don't stalk his reply time. You've said your piece, now leave it. The power of this move isn't in his immediate reaction, but in the mental echo it leaves. If he replies, great. Keep the energy balanced. Mirror his pace. Respond thoughtfully, but don't rush the connection. One message every week or so, keep it natural. Let it build without pressure. And if he doesn't reply? That's data, not rejection. It means he's not ready, and more importantly, you are. Because readiness isn't about reuniting with someone. It's about being so sure of your worth that someone else's silence doesn't shake it. Step 7. Meet, but not on a date. This isn't a candlelit dinner or a second chance wrapped in a latte. This is something far more powerful, a carefully orchestrated, casual encounter designed to shift the entire emotional dynamic between you two. When the timing feels aligned, and only when you've done the deep inner work, you initiate a low-pressure meeting. Think coffee, midday, public place, no expectations, no romantic cues. You're simply reconnecting, like two people who once shared something important, and are now adult enough to share a moment of presence. But make no mistake, while it's not a date, it is a performance, not in a manipulative way, but in a deeply intentional one. You are showing up as your evolved self, the one who's healed, elevated, and completely out of emotional debt. Walk into that room like you own your energy. He may show up defensive, aloof, or acting as if he's over it. That's fine. Let him. You're not there to fix, chase, or convince. You're there to observe. He might bring up the past, hint at the breakup, throw in a joke that used to sting. That's his way of checking where your boundaries now live. So hold the line. Be kind, but not eager. Be warm, but not wide open. If he pokes at old wounds, don't flinch. Smile, acknowledge the memory, then redirect. The secret is to stay centered, not in the old emotional chaos, but in your new sense of self. This meeting isn't about resolution, it's about revelation. You are no longer who he remembers, and that dissonance is your power. Now let's talk boundaries, because this is where most women slip. If he starts talking about who he's been seeing or casually mentions someone new, shut it down, not coldly, not with visible irritation, but with grace and control. Say something like, "That's your world, and I respect that. But I didn't come here to compare stories, just to share a coffee." Boom. Wall up. Smile intact. You're showing him that you're no longer in the arena of emotional competition. The same goes if he gets too curious about your life. Don't spill everything. Keep it light, intriguing, but protected. A little mystery is your silent ally. A spark of flirtation? Sure, but keep it classy. You're not seducing. You're reintroducing. Let him see the glow up. Let him feel the distance between who you were and who you've become. And here's where the real shift happens. After the meeting, when he walks away and the silence returns, that's when your presence does the most talking. He'll think, "Why did she reach out if she's not chasing me?" He'll feel the weight of your composure, the confidence in your tone, the ease in your laughter. And it will get to him. That emotional contrast, between the version of you he left, and the version sitting across from him now, will spark a quiet, gnawing curiosity. Not because you said something magical, but because you didn't need to. The goal here isn't to restart a relationship, it's to reframe your identity in his mind. You're showing him that you're no longer accessible in the same way. You're not seeking closure, affection, or validation. You're simply being, in your full, rebuilt brilliance. And that, more than any declaration of love or desperate plea, is what makes him start to question everything. Not because you told him to, but because you didn't have to. And here's the golden rule. Any real sign of rebuilding has to come from him. Your job? Keep showing up as the new you. Set your boundaries. Keep your standards high. And let him be the one to close the distance, if he's worthy of that chance. This is where many women discover something powerful. Sometimes, you don't want him back anymore. And sometimes, you realize you never lost him, he just lost sight of you. So remember, there are two kinds of women, those who try to get their ex back, and those who do. The difference? Understanding men's psychology, emotional control, and mastering the art of high-value communication. Want to dive deeper? That's exactly what I teach in my workshops and online masterclasses. So right now, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like if it resonated, and drop a comment. Have you ever gotten a man back, and how did it go? I'll see you in the next video or maybe, at one of my sessions. Fall in love with yourself, and let the world follow.